5:30. Gonna call the meeting. I think we have a quorum. I got to see Jim, Eric, and Kim. Do I have any public comment?
We have not received any public comment.
Okay, wonderful.
Hold just one moment. I'm just going to pull up and see if we have any live public comment. We do not.
Okay, perfect. Any board comment? None? All right, then I will close the closed session.
Be all in closed session.
session at 6 o'clock. See, we have a quorum. All right, let me turn off my volume on my phone. I apologize. All right, during closed session, there was no action taken on items A through D. Superintendent Pelfrey.
We have on item E, we have a liability claim pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95. On item A, the claimant is Ron Peterson insurance claim. The agency claim is against Sonora Union High School District. The recommended motion is to reject the insurance claim as presented.
I'll move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, right?
Correct.
Roll call, Cindy, please.
Nope, Cindy, we can't hear you.
Again, trustee Andel,
Aye.
trustee Norton,
Aye.
trustee Riggs,
Yes.
and trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
For item B, in insurance claim, the claimant is Walter Nicholson insurance claim. The agency claim is against Sonora Union High School District. The recommended motion is to reject the insurance claim as presented. Nancy, you're off there. You just have to ask for a motion.
Oh,
You have
sorry.
your motion. That's okay.
Do I have a motion?
I so move.
I'll second Jim.
Roll call, Cindy, please.
Trustee Andel,
Aye.
trustee Norton,
Aye.
trustee Riggs,
Yes.
and trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. Then we're moving on to our opening business. If everybody could stand to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
I'll second Kim.
I'm sorry, was that Eric and then Kim for a second?
Correct, Cindy.
Thank you.
Roll call, Cindy, please.
First, we need to do the public comment.
Oh, sorry. Okay, do I have public comment?
We did not receive any public comment, and there does not appear to be any live public comment.
Perfect. Roll call, Cindy.
Does the board have any comments
Oh,
on adopting
sorry.
the agenda?
I'm messing up tonight.
That's okay.
Any board comment? None? All right, roll call, Cindy, please.
Okay. Trustee Andel, trustee Norton,
Aye.
trustee Riggs,
Yes.
and trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, so we're on to our next public comment. Members of the public are welcome to address the board at this time regarding non-agendized presentations, reports, and information items. Time is limited to 5 minutes per speaker with a cumulative time of 20 minutes. This time is for the members of the public to comment and for the board members to listen. Is there any public comment?
We did not receive any public comment, and there does not appear to be any live public comment.
Any board comment? None hearing. We'll go down to our item 7, reports and information items. The classified employee reports.
It doesn't appear that Glenn is with us here tonight. but I know that they're doing a great job of making sure everything is up and running for what looks like will be an icy morning tomorrow. They were able to get by with just adverse weather stops today on Big Hill Road. So we will see what tomorrow looks like.
Okay. And then certificate employee, is Miss Hopper here tonight?
It does not look like she is on.
Okay. All right, then we'll go down to the principal report.
We could begin with Principal Maven from Alternative Ed.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited. This Friday is going to be the end of our fourth block. So we're moving closer to the end of the school year, which is exciting, to all the stuff that we're working on. And just for right now, at Ted Bird and at Casino High School, we're just moving right along. I don't have anything really new to report, but I will shortly in the future. No, not tonight though. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Maven. Principal Sells.
Good evening. So I do have a few things for you tonight. The first would be, I would like to congratulate all of our athletes who participated in the winter sports season. They had a very successful season, and for each of our sports, we won league in almost all of our winter sports, including boys and girls basketball. I'm sorry, all three levels of boys basketball, boys and girls soccer. They all won the league championships and progressed to the playoffs, as well as girls basketball progressed to the playoffs as well. Those seasons have they've all reached their end, and now we are moving on to spring sports. We, in addition, have our WASC visit coming up on March 6th through the 8th. And so there are multiple meetings scheduled for both community members, family members of our school, as well as our staff and students during this visit. It is basically to confirm that we are working on our action plan that was established at our last full self-study. In addition, we have our counselors have begun the registration process for next year. And so over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks, we will have gone out to all of our feeder schools and given them information and allowed them to select what courses they'd like to enroll in for next year. We also have gone out to all of our current students, with the exception of the seniors, and we'll be going back out for a second visit to all of their classrooms soon to help establish what courses we need to offer next year and what our enrollment will be. And that concludes my report for you this evening.
Thank you, Principal Sells.
Superintendent report.
The first thing I'd like to update the board on is our COVID update. So we had one change since our last meeting, which is that vaccinated employees are not required to mask if they are not in the presence of students. So everybody on a school campus in California is required to mask indoors when students are present, but vaccinated staff is not required to mask when there are no students present indoors. There was an update from Governor Newsom last Thursday. It did not change anything that is currently happening at K-12 schools in California. We are looking forward to news on February 28th of some sort of metrics for changes moving from the pandemic to an endemic. News is very good within our district as far as infections. We have gone 2 weeks without any staff members testing positive, and we've continued to see decreases in the number of students testing positive. I also wanted to share the Joint Powers Authority, the Tuolumne Joint Powers Authority has issued a letter that will be going to the governor and members of the state legislature and local health officials. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I will read this. Here is who is addressed to from the state legislature, Governor Newsom, members of the Assembly and the Senate, as well as local health officials. And it's referencing COVID-19 impact on schools and the shift from pandemic to endemic response. This is from our JPA, signed by the 21 school districts in our counties. The 21 school districts in the counties of Alpine, Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne serve more than 14,000 students in K-12 schools. Over the last 2 years, we have been working alongside local public health, the California Department of Health, and other health professionals to respond to the global pandemic. The efforts of educators in these counties, along with those across the state, has been heroic. As we approach the 2-year mark of the initial school closures in our counties, March 16th, 2022, it has become critical that we must request a clear and immediate plan that permits schools to respond to the shift from a pandemic to an endemic. The current health mitigation practices, strategies, and recommendations have forced schools to spend a tremendous number of resources and time meeting these requirements. This comes at the expense of efforts towards education and support services. Some examples include a superintendent spends the majority of their day mitigating COVID-19 protocols rather than leading educational initiatives to benefit students. Students are losing more academic time due to COVID-19 testing, isolation, and quarantine rather than time spent in class. Principals are contact tracing and entering data into cumbersome public health systems that consume nearly 100% of their day, rather than assisting new teachers, leading efforts at addressing learning loss recovery, and providing students with mental health and well-being support. The 21 superintendents in the Tuolumne JPA are spending a significant amount of time managing risk assessments related to COVID-19, which causes a significant disruption to their ability to provide needed educational services. The burdensome interpretation and enforcement of frequently changing and misaligned guidance from the California Department of Health and the California Occupational Safety and Health Administration has become exhausting and is creating divisiveness between parents, schools, and communities. To reiterate what our Santa Clara colleagues stated so eloquently, school staff are not medical experts, yet are called upon to keep abreast, implement, and provide assistance on detailed and complicated COVID-19 isolation and quarantine guidance from the CDPH. Inconsistent masking requirements across all sectors has become a significant point of contention for school officials and parents, causing discord, which takes away from building trusting relationships. We request immediate and decisive action in regards to the following: align CDPH and Cal OSHA guidance on isolation and quarantine rules for staff and students, or establish Cal OSHA exemptions for the education sector to mirror CDPH guidance that allows staff alignment with students to return safely while maintaining health and safety precautions. We echo the request from our Santa Clara counterparts. Eliminate, reduce, or fully transition responsibility for COVID-19 testing, isolation, and quarantine to the healthcare and insurance providers or public health sector as appropriately defined. School officials and staff are working out of their scope of authority in regards to healthcare decisions required to be made. We request those decisions be shifted back to the healthcare sector immediately. Reduce the complexity and number of reports school districts must produce so that they may have time to spend with their students to address their social, emotional, academic, and learning loss needs. Establish criteria immediately that allows school districts to safely shift to an endemic response that aligns with safety practices found in other public sectors, and align masking standards for all public sectors. Thank you for the opportunity to share our perspectives as leaders who are working directly in the field. We would welcome the opportunity to meet with you toward finding solutions. So that letter is going from our JPA to the state legislature and the governor. So unfortunately, as I have done in many of our updates, it's been COVID related, and we are looking forward to a time when COVID will not be the prime mover of our educational efforts and our communication efforts with staff, students, and parents. But we also understand that that's a responsibility that we currently have, and we'll continue to follow through to the very best of our abilities as we have throughout the pandemic. And I really do appreciate the efforts of all of our staff as they've worked through this with great diligence and care for the social, emotional health and physical health of students and one another. That's the end of the superintendent's report.
Board of Trustees report. Not hearing any. Then that goes to item F. Superintendent Pelfrey.
Yes, this is the supplement to the 2021-2022 Local Control and Accountability Plan, the LCAP mid-year report, and budget overview for parents. So this is a new report given to us during the pandemic year, as we mentioned in the previous letter. So I will share our screen. And first of all, I want to thank CBO Evans for her assistance on this update. So Assembly Bill 130 required LEAs, which is local educational agencies, which the Sonora Union High School District is, to provide a supplement for the annual update to the 2021-2022 LCAP, and also to do a new mid-year report on metrics identified in the 2021 LCAP. So first, we're going to look at the impact of the budget, the impact to the budget overview for parents. CBO Evans?
Thank you. So this is just kind of a brief glance as to when we adopted the budget overview for parents, which would have been back in May, using basically June's, May, June. I'm sorry, back when we gathered all the data in May and then presented in June, what were the anticipated LCFF funds that we were going to receive. And so now looking forward and taking a snapshot of where we are right now, you can see that that's improved about $200,000. So if you look down at the LCFF supplemental, and so that's the supplemental grant. And so if you look at the overview of how much revenue we create, there's a certain amount that we need to make sure that's used for the LCFF grant. And with the supplemental grant, it's kind of based off of a formula. And so you can see there's a little bit of a change. And that's in part, you would think that we would be getting more that we would need to spend on certain identified students. But it went down a little bit because the supplemental grant is based off of 20% of an adjusted base grant times the unduplicated pupil percentage. And then that includes English language learners, those with free meals, and foster youth. And I have a feeling a little bit of that has to do with the opportunity to get free meals, that we didn't have as many parents fill out the forms to participate in that program because of the hold harmless of being able to provide meals for everybody. So again, it doesn't really affect our funding, it just affects what we need to make sure that we spend on certain student population.
Thank you. So in the supplement, what we've been asked to do is to share what's been done with funding that we've received that was in addition to what was provided in the initial budget. And there are 5 prompts in that supplement that we needed to answer. So I'll be going through that in each slide as we move forward. So prompt number 1 was, how did we engage educational partners for the Budget Act funds? So during the 2020-2021 school year, we had weekly educational leadership team meetings that include Sonora High School department chairs, the leaders of our 2 unions, district managers, and administration. Also in April, we did a thought exchange survey of parents where we asked them what priorities were important to them. Prompt number 2 was the use of additional concentration funds. We do not receive concentration funds because we don't have over 55% of our students that count as unduplicated pupils. And that, as CBO Evans says, is English language learners, low socioeconomic students, homeless students, and foster students. Prompt 3 said what educational partner engagement was used for one-time funds, one-time federal funds. So in February, we did our Healthy Kids survey that surveys both 9th and 11th graders. In April, we did the thought exchange for LCAP input from all parents. In May, we presented to the school site council and to the educational leadership team the plans for spending one-time federal funds, as well as in June, there was consultation with both of our unions and a public hearing before the Board of Trustees on June 8th. And then in September, we worked with the Tuolumne County Superintendent of Schools Office, as well as the other districts in the county, to pull together individuals and agencies who represent tribal youth, homeless youth, foster youth, youth from low-income homes, incarcerated students, students with disabilities, students of color, and students who are English language learners, as well as bringing in the YES Partnership and ACCA to give us feedback on how the money we would be spending would affect students from those areas and making sure they had representation and voice in the decisions we made with how this money would be spent. Prompt 4 asked for how we implemented and used the ESSER 3 funds, and our expenditure plan included expanded summer school, flex period intervention, increased paraprofessional support, enhanced social emotional support that included both therapists, additional therapists, counselors, and mentoring support, as well as implementation of the Leader in Me program that provided staff and student training and increased support for English learners. Prompt 5 asks if our fiscal resources are consistent with our LCAP. And yes, they are. All of our expenditures were done in concert and under the alignment of these 3 LCAP goals. The first being to improve academic achievement and college career readiness for all student groups. The second is to ensure equitable access for all students to current technology, tools, and instructional strategies to improve educational outcomes, and to develop a safe, positive culture where all stakeholders receive social emotional support, are engaged, and feel safe, heard, and respected. So what is this mid-year metric all about, this mid-year update? Well, what we're trying to say is when the money comes out, as we're moving through this year, there's some things that are unknown and there's some things that we know that we're in progress. And we're trying to give some view of those metrics. And the same thing with expenditures. There's some things that we have started, there's some things that are in progress, and there's some things that are completed. So some places we haven't spent any money, some we've spent some of the money, and some we've already spent all of the money. So our LCAP goal 1 was to improve academic achievement and college and career readiness for all students. So in our plan, over here we have the metric. We're following the career and college indicator guidelines. This was our baseline, so that in 1920, 46% of all students met that career and college index guideline. Our goal is to get to 50% of our students meeting that career and college index guideline by 23-24. And I will tell you that this isn't a pretty picture as we move forward. These numbers come from the full COVID year of half a year almost of distance learning, and the remainder of getting 2 days a week on campus and 2 days a week at home. And we know that there are deep needs, and that's what we're using this funding to try and make up those needs as we move forward. But so for instance, last year, they did not have this, the dashboard did not include this data. But I will tell you that 21% of our graduates completed a CTE course or a subject, a CTE college course, and 14% of our graduates completed a CTE pathway. These are not improvements over past numbers, but they are not calculated into the standard CCI percentage. We hope that that will come back next year. It's been a strong point for our school in the past. This 46% of all students being college or career ready is the highest level throughout the Mother Lode League, which contains 3 counties. Our scores on Smarter Balance tests also decreased. And I won't read through each number for you, but these are all available for you in the report that you received in your packet. Our A through G completion rates also went down precipitously from 42% to 6.5%. The percentage of students in CTE courses actually did increase, and from 44% to 45%. The percentage of students in AP courses decreased from 15% to 11%. EL students, we actually had 2 students that were reclassified as fluent English learners where in 1920 we had 3 students who did that. And once again, the numbers are not as positive as we would like and not moving in the right direction there. Our average daily attendance increased from 83.5% in the 1920 school year to 94.4%. But we always want to have over 90%. And once again, this 1920 number is affected by the pandemic as it hit at the end of the 1920 school year. The percentage of students with college level credit upon graduation. In the 1920 school year, it's a great strength of Sonora High School that 50% of our graduates graduated with college credit. Last year, because we weren't able, the college did not run CCAP courses, only 21% of students graduated with college credit. Once again, math scores and the Smarter Balanced did go down. The AP pass rate went from 59% to 45%. A through G and CTE pathway completions went down in both areas. Our fully credentialed teacher situation is exactly the same. We have several teachers who are not fully assigned or misassigned, but we have in those situations, we have appropriate credentials for all teachers in all areas. And here, I'm going to let CBO Evans discuss anything that's vital here, but this is the expenditures. I won't explain, please, Ms. Evans.
Thank you. Again, this is just a snapshot, and I used December 31st, the end of first interim, to take the actuals. So you can kind of see what the budgeted expenditures are that we planned for and kind of where we lie after the first interim. Obviously, COVID continues to kind of make some of these goals difficult, but we continue the best as we can. And again, I won't read through all of them, as I know that you can see what the goals and actions are related to each one. If you want to go to the next slide, Ed. Again, this is a continuation of goal 1. You can see the work experience program 1.7. We are on track. 1.6 and 1.5. Again, it's been difficult to fill positions, and a lot of that is due to COVID. So if you'd like to go to the next slide.
So the LCAP goal 2 was to ensure equitable access for all students to current technology tools, instructional strategies, and to improve educational outcomes. The metrics that we are looking at, the measurables, is the percentage of teachers using an online presence for their classroom, including Google Apps. And of course, in the 1920 school year, that became 100% of all teachers. Those teachers are still continuing to use the online learning platforms. And that's been obviously an area where we have moved forward. I think most of the world has, but I think that our teachers have done a particularly good job, particularly some who have rocketed forward with this. We also moved in that year to one-to-one Chromebooks, and our students in the district are still one-to-one with Chromebooks. And current curriculum, there's not been a change. We have not adopted new curriculum, and that will be a goal as we move forward over the next year and a half, particularly in science. And facilities in good repair, our facilities continue to be in good repair as indicated by the FIT report, which is the facilities inspection tool.
Here you can see goal 2 actions, again with the first interim on the actuals. Excuse me, on goal 2.1, we were able to use some COVID money, so that's why we actually went over what the budgeted expenditure was, but that didn't come out of our budget, it came out of the COVID funds. And again, we're on track to meet several of these. And you can see the 2.5, the CTE, we had a lot of money that we needed to spend before December 31st with that grant, and you can see we did that. So next slide, please.
LCAP goal 3 is to develop a safe, positive culture where all stakeholders receive social emotional support, are engaged, and feel safe, heard, and respected. Our metrics in this area was a district subgroup graduation rate. Once again, we saw graduation rates fall. For all students, drop by 6% from 89% to 83%. And for students with disabilities, from 67% to 47%. The suspension rate went down, which happens when you have half your students on campus for half the year. you have many fewer suspensions. The expulsion rate diminished to 0. There were no expulsions last year. Extracurricular participation actually increased last year. And I'm not sure what to attribute that to, except for students wanting to be involved wherever they could when it was given the opportunity. So we increased from 30% of our students to 43% of our students participating in extracurricular activities throughout the district. The perception of safety surveys. This has been an area of strength for the district where 50% of ninth graders in 1920 felt that the school was safe, where last year, and once again, this has to do with smaller student bodies, 66% of ninth graders felt safe, and 53% of 11th graders felt safe in the 1920 school year, where last year 63% felt safe. There was a change that is, this is an unstable group, which is the non-traditional students. So that student group, by unstable, I mean it changes frequently, but it went from 73% feeling safe to 38%. And I have not dug deep enough in the numbers to see what causes that difference, but I know we have a frequent change in the number of students. Parent participation rates. We're going to look for a better measure, particularly for using the Healthy Kids surveys to find parent feelings on participation rates. In the 1920 school year, parents and staff took the Healthy Kids survey, and in the 2021 school year, they did not. It was only given to students. So we're going to make sure that this year it is given to both staff and parents as well as students. The dropout rate is very disappointing in what we expected, and these are the reasons for the funds that we were given through the federal and state governments. We went from a 7.3% dropout rate to a 13.6% rate for all students, and from a 9.8% rate for socioeconomically disadvantaged students to a 23% rate for socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And that's, you know, and these are the tragedies that we look at from a year in the pandemic.
These are the goal 3 actions that are tied to what superintendent spoke of. The academic counseling and at-risk counseling, we're on track to meet those goals. Again, due to COVID-19, 3.3, it's difficult to hire extra positions right now. And superintendent, if you want to go ahead one more slide. You can see here that again, 3.7, COVID again has affected that, but we have the other goals that we're on track to meet. So that's good. And I believe that's the last slide. Oh, nope, I'm sorry. There's, yeah, one more. So again, happy that we have our counselors in place. We have some fantastic counselors and being able to make sure that we utilize them into the LCAP to help student need. We continue to meet those goals.
And in closing, the continuing impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, including the challenges of hiring staff, implementing health and safety protocols, and addressing learning acceleration needs due to the impact of distance learning, has presented many challenges during the first half of the school year. Despite these challenges, the Sonora Union High School District is committed to implementing the LCAP to provide the necessary services to our students. We acknowledge and sincerely thank the hard work and dedication of our employees, the support of our parents, and the resilience of our students to continue to reach for excellence. And that concludes item F.
Thank you, Superintendent Pelfrey and CBO Evans. All right, goes to item 7G, overnight and out-of-state field trip report. Superintendent Pelfrey.
Thank you. Pursuant to Board Policy 6153, school-sponsored trips, the superintendent is authorized to approve requests for field trips involving out-of-state, out-of-country, or overnight field trips. The superintendent shall report on the approved requests to the board at a meeting. So I'm going to report that the Golden Regiment Band will be going to Anaheim on March 11th and 12th. Our boys golf team did go to Pebble Beach to participate in the golf event there. It is a fundraiser where they get to rub shoulders with professional golfers there at Pebble Beach. They did that at the beginning of February. The track and field will be headed to Arcata for a meet in April. The wrestling team participated in a meet in Sacramento at the beginning of February. And the drama club will be heading to Ashland, Oregon for the Shakespeare Festival in late April. And all of those, we are using COVID mitigation plans that treat all of these groups going, whether or not they are athletes, testing them before they go to make sure we're providing a safe atmosphere for them to travel.
Thank you, Superintendent Pelfrey. 7H is the first reading of the board policies and bylaws, CSBAs, and updates. Superintendent Pelfrey.
So these are the updates for December of 2021. The board holds a first reading followed by approval at a subsequent meeting for the revised board policies and board bylaws as CSBA recommends. The policy guide sheet summarizes these revisions.
Thank you. Moving along to item 8, action items, consent agenda. Consent agenda items combine routine business into one agenda as a whole. Therefore, the consent agenda can be approved in one action rather than multiple motions on each item separately. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. I'll second it, Jim.
Public comment?
We have not received any public comment, and there does not appear to be any live public comment.
Okay. Board comment? All right, not hearing any. Do we have our student board member tonight?
No, Kate is not with us this evening.
All right, and then board roll call, please, Cindy.
Trustee Andel.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Norton,
Aye.
Trustee Riggs,
Yes.
and Trustee Scott.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, when it comes to the next, do I just mention all this or do?
Oh, we jumped down now to item 9, future agenda items.
Okay, perfect. All right, future agenda items.
We did not receive any public comment, and there does not appear to be any live public comment.
Board comment? Not hearing any. And the next item is adjournment, and that's perfect timing because it is snowing outside and it's sticking in Mr. Pelfrey, and I think Ms. Sells is there, so you guys all need to be driving safe, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice evening, everybody.
Good night.